like, oh no, so that's a perfect song. Let me do it again. And it's like, yo, just nah, like
Enjoy
that was
it.
that moment in time. Just keep it pushing, but be proud of it. And that's one thing that I really took into like. So everything I do, like I be hanging my own pictures, not like from the parties or like the first designs I ever did. I'll hang them on the wall. You know what I mean? Just give a little. Like I just recently, because of the Corona shit, like just built like my own studio, and you know I got my like what's it called on there? Like the mixtape covers, the album covers, like all on the wall. Yeah, like a
little
painting.
display.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like it's like little shit like that because I think you need them subtle reminders of how far you've came and like.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I just did a podcast with a YouTuber named Hennessy, and she one of the things that came up while we were talking, she says, you know, sometimes you just got to stop and celebrate those little wins because those little wins will keep you going. And at the same time, one of the things I remember doing is like when I first started the podcast, it was terrible. Like in the sense of I didn't, you know, I sounded real robotic because I was writing out a script to know what I was talking about. Yeah. So like sometimes I go back and listen and I got to cringe a little bit, but it's like, damn, I got to also see how far I've gotten from there and how much better at talking I've gotten, you know. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
And that's probably like the biggest thing. That's probably like the biggest thing for me right now because it's like, you know, you don't for the most part, and especially as doing music and like talking to people who interested in like the business side of music is really seeing how, you know, unless like some crazy record deal comes or something like that and you in some weird position, this shit don't happen instantly as much as we want to see.
People think it's there's one thing I always say, an overnight success takes about 10 years.
Exactly. So like to me, the more I see it is the more it's like you can always chase that shit, right? So 10 years could just go by and you're like damn, you've been chasing like this like, yo, when am I going to make it? And you getting better and better and more people fucking with you and all that. But it's going to be mad stressful because you're not at where you want to be. Whereas if, you know, year by year, you look at how you was last year. Like last year, I ended up just doing some dumb shit, but I was fucked up. A year later, it's like, look, you know.
You got to see that
kind of
progress.
just pulled up, what is it, like pull myself up from the bootstraps.
Yeah.
Had to really get busy, just grind it out. And a year later, now look at it, right? So it's like, I could be mad that, like, I was hurt for a little bit, whereas 2019, I put out videos, but I ain't put out music. Like, I be wanting to put out music, like, every year. 2019, I couldn't. So much shit was happening. And, but I don't take that and just be like, oh, dog, I ain't never going to do. It's like.
Yeah, you don't let it keep you down to the point where you want to give up. That's actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you. Have you ever gotten to that point where you're just like, this ain't for me, whether either the clothes or the music, and you're just like, you know, you want to give up? Because, I mean, a lot of people try things, a lot of people fail, and I think, you know, what's the saying?
Yeah.
I turn my L's into lessons, and some people don't do that. Some people just take the L and they're just like, you know what, I'm good. I'm not gonna continue to pursue this. Have you ever gotten to that point?
Yeah, I say for real, I'll probably be at that point. Not that point, but definitely once. Now, more so now, it's like, it's really like that shit just be, it just be stressful. It's like, so I was on live, right? I did like the live event. And that was another thing I was going to say too, as far as like with the whole life thing of like looking back, I'm playing these old songs that like you said, it's cringy because you like, oh, I should have fixed my flow right here. Like the shit I learned from, I'm listening back knowing that like, well, that's why I fixed it on the next one and whatever. But it's like you listen back and I had somebody ask me like pretty much the same thing, like how do you keep going and how do you do all that? And now it turns more into like work. You know, because I do everything too on music and clothes. There's no team, there's no whatever. So,
so you a one man show?
Pretty much to the point of what I can do. Like, like even with production, I'll do production, but I even laid back off of that because I'd rather make music than like I need a lot of time to do all this. But if you send me a fire ass beat, I'm not just the type to be like, nah, I need to be on my own shit. It's like, all right, I'll take it. That shit fire. But yeah, it turns into just stress. So nowadays it don't turn into like, oh, I want to give up. I'm done with this. It turns into more like, all right, let me take a break for like a day or two. Let me just, clearly my mind ain't where it's at. Let me just relax, because I always end up coming to it. And that's the thing that like always brings me back. So it's this story, right, where like this was the first time where I was like, all right, maybe shit do be happening for a reason, because I was at Westchester, right, and I was up there, like I was just selling bud up there. So when I was there, I'm there, like I'm doing classes, you know, I'm trying to get into the music shit. So, but mind you, you know, you have nothing, and like it's not even like, yo, I could find a place or whatever. All that shit happened after I started doing shit, and then more people, you meet more people. Yeah. But like trying to look at it myself, I'm like, dog, how am I gonna find a studio? I don't even know what I'm doing. And you know, it takes time to get comfortable in the studio and all that shit. Yeah. So
especially having people watch you while you do that shit. Yeah. That's not an easy thing to do.
So listen to this, right? So I'm like, I found the studio. I went there. At the time, I remember it was like 50 or 70 an hour, something like that. So we there for like 3 hours. I remember I did one song, and then we ended up having to like work on a beat that I did. Because when I first did beats, like I wasn't 2, 3, 4. Like it wasn't as like good as I am now. Yeah. It was like, well, this sounds like a good sample. Let me just throw that in there. And the whole shit all fucked up. So we working on the beat. I do one song and then like kind of do that one, right? But the engineer had like an intern in there, right? So the guy had the intern in there. And I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck if he here. Like, I don't care. It's just y'all two, right? So I do that thing. Don't really like how it comes out. Like the song's not really coming out how, you know, in my head. And when you first starting out, that shit's like, it really gets to you, you know? Like now I can make, I mean, I don't think I do, but right now if I made just a bullshit song that was like, I don't know, I'm literally not saying nothing in it, I wouldn't care to be like, damn, why that shit come out like that? Yeah. It's like, nah, that's cool, that's one. Let's do another one, right? But when you first starting, you only get really one chance. Yeah, especially because the money, it's all like that. So I'm like, damn, dog, like, not knowing that a label funds all of this shit, so a regular artist is like in the studio mad, not paying for nothing, and getting that constant like song, repetition,
trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and they got a whole team. I mean, I seen what's that show that came up on Netflix with Cardi B, T.I.?
I forget what it's called,
but you know what I mean. Yeah. Like, and you see the process. It's like, damn, they got a sound engineer, they got a beat maker, they got a producer, they got all these things. And it's like, damn, that's a big team.
Exactly. So when you don't get that, you start feeling insecure. You like, all right, dog, maybe this shit not for me, right? Like, I can't do this. The song's not really hitting. Like, I'm just down, right? I'm like, damn, I wanted this, but it's whatever. So this bull hits me up. He like, you know, he just trying to cop some bud. I'm like, all right, I go over there, drop it off to him. He like, yo, you make music, right? I'm like, how the fuck? Like, at this point, nobody really know, because I was just at the studio one day and was like, all right, I'm doing this. So I'm like, how the fuck would you know that, like, I rarely even know you. How,
like, you're not even around here. Yeah. Like, this isn't where you were from. So
so I'm like, how do you even know? And I don't got no songs. Like I told you, the Jones I did, nobody heard them except me. I think they trash, but it was just random. So I'm like, how the fuck? He like, nah. So it turned out that, like, he was like, the intern was actually his friend. So, like, when I did it, he was like, oh, he was at the studio, coincidentally, right? Oh, okay. So then...
Small world, bro.
Yeah, like, we on the campus, but it was just weird how, like, that happened. Because, like, this where this story, like, take the turn. Because he actually made beats and stuff, too. Like, he made music. He's like, nah, like, I got some beats. You want to listen to them? I'm like, nah, I don't know. Like, this shit... Music ain't really sounding how I want it. I think I'm cool with it. Yeah. He like...
So you was about to give up.
Yeah, and he's like, nah, just... While we still there in this thing, he like, nah, just like I don't know, just spit something. I could let you know, right? So it was the how I started off the whole thing of the living isn't fucking easy, right? Where I'm like, living isn't fucking easy, but hey, that's life. Know what I mean? And so like I started that. I started spitting like the first like verse of like that, and he is just like, nah, yo, like keep going. And I'm like, you sure? You're like, nah, like you just need some practice. I got this other guy that engineers. He'll do it for cheap. I'll be going to him. I'll be helping him out. And like he was like a bad engineer, but he was still in that Westchester area. And like so
he
now
knew people and
now that made me at least be able to record and like certain mixes was whatever. Like now I look back, I'll be like mixes or whatever, but you know, and that just led me to another person that led me to another engineer.
You started to network.
And it was just like, okay, I see how his mixes are. So then as I get better production, better like engineers on mixes or whatever, you start to see like, oh, like it's not just me that I could fix my shit, but ultimately it don't matter if I'm saying the hottest shit, the like the best bars or nothing. If the shit don't sound good, nobody cares to listen to it. Yeah. So like you start seeing like, oh, I actually need these people that's like around me to make this shit work. And you know, then the music got better and the shit got better. But that was probably the only time where like coincidentally I wasn't feeling it at all. I'm like, this shit trash. This shit not me. Whereas, you know, it took that one person randomly from a fucking selling them bud to just being like, nah, like I think you should keep going.
It's
like
a wildfire.
Whatever.
You start to network.
And then that's how that was probably the only time. Like now, like I said, it'd be like you're doing this. It just be a stress thing. Mm-hmm. It just be like maybe take some time off. Like get your mind.
You don't want your passion to become work because then you don't want to do it.
And my hardest thing now is like I do everything. So a lot of times it feels like work because like for clothes, right? I don't even want to design no more. Like I want to give someone an idea and let them run with it. Yeah. I just have to figure out how I'm gonna set that up. But like that's cool, whatever. I'll sit there, I'll design it, do whatever. But then it's like now I gotta go run them to get them printed, go through that whole process, what can work, what won't work.
It sounds like you need a team.
Exactly. And then do photo shoots and then do all this shit that like
display and then marketing
and then you gotta do
stuff.
The promo. I edit the video promos and all that so it's like what I like to do is happening and then it turns into work by doing all this extra shit. Like even now, like I built the studio, so now I can't even go to the studio because of the, you know, Corona. But now I gotta be my own engineer. And it's like not that hard because I don't like mix it or nothing, but still it's different than being right there and having someone like, no, do it again. All right, I'm like, hold on, let me listen back. All right, now I gotta run over to the chair. Oh, I'm gonna fix that real quick. Hold on, let me do it. And then it's like little shit like that like turns, you know, the fun part into work. But it ain't too crazy. And then having the team, I was never really like big on it because I saw, you know, people start shit with like teams and it didn't go nowhere. Niggas just got titles to do what?
It becomes a lot of like creative differences and you know, you expect something of somebody else and they don't want to pick up their weight, so you got to pick up the slack.
And that's a lot of time.
It's hard working with other people.
And that's where I'm at with it. It's like, yo, until I get to the point where I could just hire someone to do this, so like you work for me, it's kind of hard because you know how people are when there's no money coming in. Yeah. And then people don't want to work as hard as you because it's your shit. So like you up here with it, you holding them to the same level, and you like, oh no, this is just how hard they work. That's not good enough for me. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? When it's your shit too, and it's like, so until
there's a certain expectation, and some people don't meet it because they have different expectations and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's why I was just like, I'll do as much as I can. If people want to help fit in when the time is right, go ahead. Because even with music, one of the things I always said was like, yo, this is some shit I'm doing. Like, I got a bunch of friends. It's not really, I'm not trying to put this on you. Like, yeah, I would love to have a team, but if you're you, I'm not just going to be like, yo, pick up a camera and start doing video. It's like,
you don't want to be that person to bark orders and shit like that.
And it's like, dog, I don't even give a fuck about video. Like, you know, like, I want to do
I
video, but it's like, but if we had a photographer, a videographer, and somebody that also made beat, like, it's like, yeah, that's in the dream world, cool, we could have that.